Good morning, everybody. We are live. Happy Monday here with my boy TJ. We're gonna touch on a little baseball here before we jump right in, as we do. But it is a football heavy show. We are only 38 days away from football, y'all. So we're gonna jump a lot of football talk. We do have some big news out of baseball. We got Aaron Judge, a little bit of an injury going on over there with the Yankees. Tell me why it doesn't matter, TJ.
Well, we got lucky. They're saying it's like an elbow strain, and everyone was saying Tommy John surgery, the year is over. I mean, traditional New York pessimism, right? At its finest.
Yeah, Sean Overman and his jinx was on full bore is
Oh, yeah.
last we checked.
It would have broke my heart, but obviously, maybe secretly, we were all, But I
Pulling
think the
for
big
it.
thing for the Yankees is we find out that he's only going to be out 10 to 14 days, and we're going to ease him back in, obviously. But the one thing that's important to know is that the AL is weak this year. And now we thought the Tigers were going to run away with everything. And I knew, and we knew that we were skeptical because their offense just can't produce always.
Yep.
And screwball can only take you so far.
Yep.
But the Yankees have a chance to not only steal the American League, but steal a World Series, right?
You think they could get a ring?
The Dodgers look human. Of course, I wish we had
their pitching. It's their pitching staff, right? That the Dodgers don't look like they scare you. I mean, they get Glasnow back, right? And he looks good.
Yeah, Glasnow
and that's like really the one guy that you're worried about. Everybody else looks hittable.
Yeah, and you don't want to jump ahead, but as the American League goes, just go for American League. Anybody that makes the playoffs in the American League has a true shot at going to the World Series. And the National League, in my opinion, is murderer's row. But guess what? If you're the Yankees, if you're the Tigers, if you're the Seahawks, if you're the Rangers, you don't have to go through the murderer's row of the National League.
Right.
And I think if the Yankees could get healthy, we got McMahon, who I thought it was a good trade.
I thought it was great. He was just dying in Colorado, man. And
Yeah,
he's always the one consistent heart of the lineup guy. He's a good locker room guy. Ryan McMahon needed to get out of there. I'm very happy he landed with such a historical franchise.
And it's a big thing, too, because Suarez can't play defense, right?
Right.
So everyone was like, Suarez, he's going to have 50 home runs. McMahon can play defense. He can play third or second. And our lineup starts to look a little better. Goldschmidt has fallen off a little bit.
It's kind of caught up to him. You were wondering how far he could go.
It's a shame, but you know what? In the playoffs, we still have a 300 hitter in the lineup, right?
And all right. So you mentioned the murderer's row in the NL, but just talking about the AL, really, like, you got the Blue Jays who are kind of leading right now, right? And we know about Vlad and what they got, and their pitching is definitely hit or miss. You got Detroit, who we've said is taking the step back. You got Cleveland, who's making a run. Houston is really one of the teams that seems to work, but they just lost Paredes. That might be for the year, right?
Yeah.
You have Seattle, who you mentioned, the Mariners with Randy Arozarena, and then you got Texas. I mean, and that's really it. That's like, you're not really worried about anybody else, and there's no reason that you guys wouldn't dominate any of those teams, especially because you have a better offense than all of them.
And also, not like I'm taking a lot from the All-Star game, but the one thing that stood out to me the most, and maybe this is me being a Yankee fan and trying to be a glass half full, is Screwball got embarrassed in the All-Star game. I mean, he almost couldn't get out of one inning. So that kind of shows me, is this a guy that's going to shine in the brightest lights? Now, the guy can hit 100. He's a lefty. I feel like when he throws the ball sometimes, like when it hits the batter's, when it hits the hitter's bat, it's like a dumbbell hitting that. Like, he just gets a lot of like dead ground balls. So he's obviously a great pitcher. Sure. But is he going to be a guy that can shine when the lights are brightest? He's going
to be a guy who he's going to be a guy who ends up in New York or Boston or somebody. I mean, I don't see him staying in Detroit.
I don't know, because Detroit still has a pretty thick history. I don't know if they just let him go like that. But I'm not super scared of lefties either, because I know we have Judge, Stanton, Volpe, Goldschmidt, now McMahon. I mean, so we can. I don't fear lefty pitchers like I do if it was a right-handed dominant guy like a Glasnow or Yamamoto or something like that. So. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that there's a chance for the Yankees to steal one this year. Now, how healthy we'll be, our bullpen looks horrible, but we just got to get hot at the right time,
All right. What do you think about the other side? Just to wrap up baseball, you got the Mets and the Phillies. You got any preference out of those two, out of the NL, out of the
Yeah, I
East?
mean the Mets are scary top to bottom. I mean the meat of that lineup with Lindor, Alonso,
And
and
Soto actually producing, right?
Yup, and Soto's on fire now, which we knew
Kind of
was coming.
crazy.
And
Harper's looking good with Philly, obviously, and their pitching looks good.
Philly looks good. The Cubs are scary.
Cubs are
The
scary.
Padres are scary. The
Padres
Dodgers
are
are
scary,
scary. The Giants are not scary, but they're winning, right? I mean, it's crazy.
right? And then you got Cincinnati and St. Louis still over 500, kind of going to be in there. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, I think Cincinnati's got way more of a dangerous offense.
they do. Oh, yeah, but they have no. I mean, I don't want to say no pitch. 100 Green's not bad. They have a horrible bullpen. Actually, their
Sure.
bullpen's getting better too. But I don't think that they're just a
They're
team
not.
that.
They're a year away or two. This
Yeah,
year is a great reason why your argument stands. There's no reason that the Yankees couldn't steal a ring, add
yeah,
one to the evil empire.
yeah,
All right. Well, with that being said, man, that was a lot of baseball talk. That was crazy.
yeah.
That was nuts.
Let's get into
We are
fantasy football.
38 days away from football, y'all.
Yeah,
TJ, we're all about fantasy football here. We know there's do's and there's don'ts. I know you follow or you were following this other big money draft. Do you want to talk about that other league as we get into these do's and don'ts and kind of
yeah.
break that
I
down from
mean,
there?
for sure. We'll. I was following a mock draft, $500 buy-in, 12-man league, half point PPR, and we always thought, I thought over the last week or two, the top four were pretty simple, not in this order: Jamar Chase, Saquon, Bijan, Jameer Gibbs.
Sure.
And it looks like now it is wide open. Christian McCaffrey's going ahead of Jameer Gibbs in a lot of leagues. CeeDee Lamb is going ahead of Justin Jefferson in a lot of leagues. CeeDee Lamb is going ahead of Saquon Barkley and Bijan Robinson in a lot of leagues.
I mean, you can see that just from the trust and chemistry of Dak and Lamb, and now they get Pickens. And then
And
you're
Dak
talking
was
about
runner-up.
McCarthy to Jefferson, and it's somebody who's more unproven. So these are all cases you can make, right?
And Dak was runner-up in MVP voting, right? Just
Yeah.
2 years ago, I think. So it's crazy that he's getting drafted in the 10th round. I also think that
14th round. It's crazy.
yeah, he's going 10th, 11th, 12th, whatever it is. And but yeah, like about fantasy, like mock draft do's and don'ts. I have one that I live by just from my own personal atrocities when it comes to
Sure.
being almost dead last in fantasy is if on the top 5 rounds, you never want to go quarterback and tight end. You go one or the other, but don't go both because you'll see how thin running back and wide receiver get. Quarterbacks will be there late. Tight ends, if you're not getting a top 3, your tight end's getting you 7 points a game, right? So the difference between you going a tight end in the 4th or 5th round and going in the 12th round, you could be looking at a difference of 3 to 4 points. So I always suggest for people listening, especially entering in their big money leagues, that you don't go quarterback and tight end in the first 5 rounds, one or the other. I suggest neither, but not both. What do you think about that?
I would say that's a good one. My big don't or red flag is people get so caught up with your roster spots and handcuffs. And handcuffs has been such a darling thing, to make sure that you get somebody to back up your running back so you have that backfield locked up. But then people started handcuffing receivers and quarterback. I mean, it gets ridiculous. Like you shouldn't have a handcuff for every running back that's on your team, and you shouldn't only draft running backs that need handcuffs.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people get caught up looking at that handcuff because they know, like last year, just as an example, what I'm talking about, you had Kenneth Walker, right? Kenneth Walker the third. Everybody knew that Zach Charbonnet was a great handcuff for him. And I felt that a lot of people thought that Walker's injury could bite him, which happened. And Charbonnet could end up taking over that backfield, which did happen. But Charbonnet proved to be a little bit more volatile from a fantasy perspective. And sure, it was great to have him as a handcuff. But if you did overdraft him, you lost out on a good receiver, a good running back. And he was only, usable for so many games when you could have had points from somebody else throughout the duration of the entire
You know
season.
what? I always hate that argument when it comes to building your roster that, if I have a handcuff, I don't have to make decisions throughout the week on who to start, who to sit, because you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Sure, yeah.
handcuff you're not going to start them.
That annoys me how much people put this value in the handcuff thing.
I'd rather have a loaded roster and have to make decisions every week. And if I'm wrong on who I started, then I can live with that. But at least I know that my roster is built to like compete,
I mean, unless if the handcuff is so good. I'm not trying to waste draft picks on the likes of a Trey Benson to back up the aging James Conner, who might give out this year. I want like 5 or 6 starting running backs. And if one of them goes down, so be it. I got another starter going in. I don't
Yep.
want to sit there and rely on a handcuff. Look at the 49ers situation last year. It
No,
was awful. You thought you had it nailed after McCaffrey went out, and then his backup goes out, and you end up like everybody's using their fab budget or their waiver pick on Garendo. Like nobody wants that. Nobody wants to draft 3 handcuffs because you draft Christian McCaffrey. You know what I mean? Like you got to be able to draw a line, and I'm not trying to get off too far in a tangent. You got to be careful with how much or how fast you value your handcuff for your running back or set position. I think
well,
it's just too much right there in that 6 through 10 bubble. Like that 6 through 10, there's a lot of league winning plays that are there that could definitely change your season, change your format, change your league, right? It's a
no,
big
I
deal.
agree. What about heading into August, right? We're talking about how you said we're 38 days away. Something that's kind of crazy to think about is information overload, right?
Yeah.
Everything that we're getting now, 15 years ago or even 10 years ago, we wouldn't even have known really about the Fields injury until after the fact. I know there was a cart involved, so that's a little different than walking off on your own accord.
As soon as somebody gets carted off, it's like the whole Twitter universe or X universe just goes nuts, right? Like everybody knows
Yeah,
that.
like you're looking for, can he move his extremities? Like, it's kind of crazy to think. And I'm getting blasted with this information every day, and it's almost like it sends the sports world into a panic, right?
I mean,
Where
that shows you how desperate we are coming from June and May about the information just being so dry. And now we're any crumb is just like a story. And I think it wouldn't be such a big deal, but Fields is a legs guy. He's got a lot, that's on his wheels. So I
no,
feel
yeah,
that it's a bigger deal for him to have any kind of lower body or foot or ankle or toe injury than the regular quarterback. But you're not wrong. Like you already have people in another do and don't, right? Always do your drafts within a reasonable amount of time in conjunction to the start of your league. You
yeah,
don't want to do your drafts too early to where injuries could bite you. Oh, let's do our draft a month out. That's the only time we can all get together. Everyone's schedules, and then injuries start happening and you get screwed. You want to
yeah,
make sure, and it's kind of an easy one to remember, but like you have Matthew Stafford right now as an example. People are talking about him. It might be a nursing his back situation throughout the rest of training camp. Well, that's 38 days until the season. You have a lot relying on the shoulders of Matthew Stafford and the fantasy, and of course for the LA Rams world with the likes of Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams. All of these guys are better when you have Stafford running that engine. And the message that I heard was first off of ESPN and Sleeper, and then it was on X, and it was like all within like succession, like boom, 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 and it was Stafford's back. Oh no, he might be injured, and he's plummeting down draft boards. And then you see analysis here, and it's like the news comes from left, comes from right. You don't even know how big of a deal it is if they're just letting him take it easy because he's a little bit older and he's had some broken bones in his back and whatnot. So you're not wrong about this information overload. You got the Joe Mixon injury. It broke within seconds.
yeah. Darnell
People were talking
Mooney,
about Chubb going flying up the draft board 30 spots already.
yeah, Darnell Mooney got hurt.
Mooney,
Godwin got hurt.
Godwin. Well, the Godwin thing's kind of tricky too, right? So he's being drafted at like the 90th bubble in that 90 range. Okay.
Yeah,
So you're talking about you're getting a wide receiver 3 or 4 for your lineup.
yeah,
Baker was right with him, but his vaulted up the draft boards to like 60. He goes after Burrow-ish, right? Like right in that bubble.
yeah,
You have a Godwin who's they're already saying he's not coming along as quickly as they thought he was.
yeah,
Okay, what does that mean? You got to decode it. Does that mean that Godwin is going to be slow to form this year? Because we've had Godwin off an injury before. This isn't the first time he's come back from injury, and it did take him a few games to get going. And if they're already treating like this, are people going to be over investing into that Chris Godwin camp, or is he going to be perfect for the playoffs and be a target monster and Baker's number one
and
target?
also slight offensive line issues early on. Worse won't be there for the first month. Also, they McMillan. there's a lot of mouths to feed there too with the running game too.
And they
I'm
got
not.
this boy Amike Ibuka, and Ibuka has been a lot of talk at training camp right now. How they're getting him folded in, but it might be because it got one out.
No, yeah, there's a lot. I think that's why Baker could be so sexy, but I just think it's interesting that I mean, we could.
That's
It's
a big name injury though. Out of those lists, like the Mixon injury is huge
Let me ask
because
you something.
sure.
Does a lot of receivers or a lot of defensive players are getting signed and holding out right now? Do the Bucks still offer Godwin that contract they did 3 or 4 months ago? Now, if they know he's already kind of hobbled, I don't know. Like I don't like. I guess the point I'm trying to make is if the
Chris
Bucks
Godwin's
give
in his
Godwin,
prime age, right? And he's shown the resiliency of being able to recover. You're not wrong, but I feel like he was there on the ring team, and I feel that he's been there with them so long in the Bucks. And as you would know, the Glazers are just such a classy family.
yeah,
I
they
feel
take
like
care of.
the
Yeah,
organization is going to do the right thing and take care of him. I
yeah.
really do,
They're
regardless of the injury, situation. And I think that only adds value to Mike Evans early on. It only adds value to Bucky Irving early on. And
yeah.
like you said, these other guys are going to come around between McMillan and Igbuka, but Baker just is going to be full throttle, is
Who are
what I
you
see for
going
sure.
if you had to pick Chase Brown or Bucky Irving? Who are you going?
Man, that's really tough, but I like Bucky Irving. I like Bucky Irving because like whenever you look at Bucky and Chase, you can go tit for tat, but that's such a tough division to play in for Chase Brown.
Yeah,
When you know you're playing against TJ Watt 2 times
yeah.
and the Ravens 2 times and the Browns who just have the Bengals number every year 2 times. That's just not a good look. Like you know that there's going to be a couple of performances. I feel like Bucky is just he's primed to break out. I feel like with
It's an easier division for
it's an
sure. Like
easier
Bucky's
division. I
going,
feel like the whole situation is just fantasy friendly. Very much so.
yeah, Bucky's going around like what 20 to 22, and Chase Brown is like 23 to 28.
Yeah,
It's
people are taking. I've seen Bucky go ahead of Derrick Henry in a few drafts. I've definitely seen it's like right after Bucky's Josh Jacobs. And so you're like right there. Do you want Derrick Henry, Bucky, or Jacobs? Is the bubble that you're being in that little tier. And obviously you can see why Bucky is sexier than Henry because of the PPR value. We play in a half point PPR league. In our big league, in full point PPR leagues, it definitely makes it more difficult to choose. But the offense that Henry runs in the situation gives you, I guess, a little bit more trust. But I would take Henry over Jacobs, but maybe Bucky over Henry in that situation, in a PPR league. It's definitely close. It's definitely close.
I also heard something interesting yesterday that people think Kenneth Walker could be a league winner.
I've been buying into that boat for last 2
Yeah.
years, and
Isn't
he
that just
just
a
has this
straight running back?
crazy,
Yeah.
like, breakout speed where he's, like, every year and, if look at Kenneth Walker's highlight reels, and they're, like, 50 to 60-yard breakouts.
Yep.
All of them, right? And I think that he's destined to have one huge year.
Yeah.
Huge. And I'm not saying it's this year, and I know that I talked about the whole, meddling of Zach Charbonnet, and I feel that this is Walker's year. You know what I mean? Like he's got the quarterback thing, and it's definitely a running game. It's going to be him. I don't think the offense is just going to be aired out by any means. I think they keep it ugly. I think he gets plus 20 touches a game, and that's kind of high. I think he's at least 15, but I could see in a game script situation and him being healthy, that kind of adds to that value that everybody sees with him. If he gets plus 20 touches a game because they do keep competitive, those are huge numbers to quantify. That's
Yeah.
big, man.
I also want to give a shout out to one of our listeners. I won't even say his name, but sending me some gear. He got a Shaman Madonna hat here, home of Jeremiah Smith, Hollywood Brown, and a lot of D1 NFL athletes have came from this school. They run South Florida, so we appreciate that.
That's legit.
Who you going? Mike Evans, or how about this? Rank these people in order: Mike Evans, Garrett Wilson, JSN from the Seahawks.
All right. So the best way to value him, like just point blank, Jason 1, Mike Evans 2, Garrett Wilson 3.
Yeah.
JSN, we talked about his potential breakout, having Cooper Cup and being the alpha in that setup. Um, I think he has the highest ceiling out of all of them by far as well. I think Mike Evans is going to have a great start, especially with no Godwin in. I think you drafting Mike Evans, you're going to look genius for the first 4 weeks, and he's going to be a top 10 receiver
Yeah.
immediately. He's just going to have that early pop, and that could actually lead to a lot of momentum, throughout the year. And if Chris Godwin's injury does prove to be a little bit nagging or lingering, then that could really be beneficial to Evans owners. So I definitely put him in there too. The reason why, and I love Wilson, and when you look at his numbers with Rodgers, and it wasn't even like great on paper.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, great on film, but
Yeah.
it was better on paper,
Better on
right?
paper. Yeah.
Because he had so many catches. He was near 100 catches and 1,000 yards, and he was still right there in the touchdown numbers, like 8 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think that with Justin Fields, it's different. He could dominate. Fields showed that he could still get the ball to a DJ Moore.
Yep.
I feel that he could definitely dominate that target share. It should be in like the 30 percentile, which does give you some hope. It's about Justin Fields opening up and growing as that passer that we knew he had the potential, and him having a balanced team so he doesn't have to run for his life. Like, it's
He's
better to
connecting.
have Justin Fields using his legs as something, not just so defensively, if you get what I'm saying. Like, you hate to see Justin Fields running for his life and he never gets to go through his progressions. You want him to be able to go through his progressions, and I feel that Wilson would have a better chance to get through that.
And
I
also,
think that,
Fields and Wilson went to the final or went to the national championship game or the final four together in college,
yeah.
So they have that.
So
They have,
there's the chemistry, right?
yeah, they have that
I
history there. And I
is
think
Wilson gonna catch 1,200 yards? Man, I kind of feel like I don't know what his over or under is. I kind of feel like that's it. It's at like that 1150, 1,200 mark. If he
yeah,
goes
I
over
see
or under
him.
that,
I like all three of those receivers. The problem with Mike Evans is he going to stay healthy? And Garrett Wilson and JSN are both in their prime. And also, there is a chance that JSN and Garrett Wilson are top 5 receivers, right? That could be that conversation at the end of the year, at least top 10. Mike Evans, I think there's a good chance that he's your 70-yard, 1 touchdown guy. Does Mike Evans still have that 150-yard games in him, right? We'll see. Baker Mayfield, another year in that offense. Baker loves him. Mike Evans still has that top end speed, attracting a number 1 corner. It's interesting.
he caught 1,000 yards in like 7 or 8 games or whatever it was last year.
Yeah.
Like, they still got him. It's money, Mike, man. I'm telling you, Mike Evans is in, like, I feel so stupid not getting any shares of him in previous years because he's been there for you and you just always kind of talk yourself out of him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe I'm a year too late. You could put me on that. But I think that Mike Evans just has another renaissance year again. I think that the injury thing you don't have to worry about this year. I think he's still proven to be this crafty. He still gets off his separations fine. Baker still loves him. They just got too much going on in that offense, and that Baker's going to find him. And he's just such an end zone guy. Like, no matter what, Mike Evans is falling into 10 touchdowns. Like, that's his floor. You know what I mean? To say that's your floor. Like, he's still got potential to go 15. And I think maybe that's his last big year. Maybe, but he could still get you 15 because there's no Godwin early. So I really feel that, or Godwin's adjusting early. I really feel that Evans is going to pop early. That's all.
Yeah. What about, let's talk about some quarterback wide receiver stacks, like value wise, right? We know Burrow, Chase, obviously.
Burrow, Chase. All right. So, if you were to get Burrow, Chase, okay,
Yeah.
this is how it would have to go this year to combo him. Number one, you'd have to have the number 1 pick.
You have to have the 1 pick.
Or a top 3 pick, and people go back. Okay.
Yeah.
You got to get lucky. And I don't see anybody really passing over Chase, honestly.
Yeah. Jamar
So
Chase
you have to
got
take
number
him
1
there.
in the last 50 mocks I've seen.
Right.
So.
Now, the way the quarterbacks are going, you get this little bubble with Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, and then it goes Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, 28, 29, 30, 31. In that bubble. Right
Yeah.
now, This all changes, and this is why I love doing mocks throughout the season, is because you see the board de-escalate and escalate to see where the guys are going to be tucking in. You have Burrow, who was at 60, now gone up to 50, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to get Chase at 1, and then you would have to come back, grab a receiver to pair with Chase, or grab a running back who you could get the likes of. You're hoping that Bucky Irving's there, Josh Jacobs, you know what I mean? That one of those guys are going to be there for you. It's in that tier that you're looking at. You don't want Kamara, but you could take Kamara for a zero kind of, running back hero thing. But then you would have to go Burrow, because Burrow's now, if you weren't to take him in the 3rd round, and you're like the number 1 pick, right? So it goes 1, comes back around, you get 2, and you take him on the way out. I've only seen him get close coming back one other time.
Yeah,
that
most
was
people aren't going to let him come back. They're just going to be like, "I'm
no,
getting
100%.
bored."
And I feel like it's way easier to kind of combo Higgins and get Burrow this year than it is to get Chase. And I feel like if you get Chase, you got to kind of let it go. You're not getting the combo this year. It's not going to happen. And if you do, you're going to grossly overpay, and you might end up paying for that. Because you might not have the depth that you're looking for, and you're going to be putting a lot of weight on the Burrow Chase combo, which is okay. They can get you out of a lot of sticky situations, but how much can they do when you're that thin, right? So that's what I mean to say about that. But other than Burrow and Chase, hurts to AJ Brown. You went big on that one a couple years ago. You fell victim, right?
Yeah,
I think it's sexy. Yeah, go ahead. What were you going to say about it?
It didn't pay off as good as I like. And I honestly think the quarterback wide receiver stack is like grossly overrated.
Oh, grossly overrated. Everybody thinks it's so sexy, right? But tell me about this one. I love Herbert McConkey this year. Herbert McConkey, I think, is a great one, right? Because Herbert's so low. McConkey is drafted in the 30s or late 20s. I mean, it's just a good value combo is why I mentioned.
It's a good value stack, but I'd rather have a McConkey in the 2nd or 3rd, and a McConkey in the 3rd, I'll say, and a Jared Goff in the 11th round, than getting Herb. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's just,
well, Herbert's right there with Goff. They're
I understand that, but Harbaugh, I mean, all he wants, like,
so if you have a choice, you have McConkey. Okay. God forbid you had Amon-Ra St. Brown. We won't say that. You have McConkey.
Yeah.
And you have a choice. Your team is being drafted, and you have Herbert or you have Goff. Who are you drafting?
Goff.
You're going to draft Goff, even though you could combo.
Yeah, because I mean, Goff threw for almost 5,000 yards. You know what I'm trying to say? Sure. And Goff had over I think he was 37 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. I'm gonna look, but I don't think that. I guess the point I'm trying to make is quarterback, wide receiver. Yeah, he had 37 touchdowns, 12 picks, 4,600 yards. I think chasing the quarterback wide receiver stack is grossly overrated. And just go get yourself a receiver, go get yourself running backs, go get yourself a quarterback. And guess what? Jamar Chase or a CeeDee Lamb or a Amon-Ra St. Brown can have 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. And you could have a different quarterback that will throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's fun when they go together, but it's not necessary in season long. In daily fantasy, totally different ballgame. But in season long, you don't have to chase that stack. And I used to say that to myself. Recently, I've chased a stack. And I'm not going to say it hasn't worked out, but you just get obsessed with hey, it's so much fun to score 100 points in one game with 2 guys. What about Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers? I kind of like that stack as a low key.
That's a great stack. I think Stafford Puka, great stack, right? You got to love Stafford Puka.
What about Russell Wilson neighbors? As a Giant fan, I don't like that stack. I don't like Russell Wilson.
What about Jameson Williams and neighbors?
Yeah. Say it again.
What about Jameson or Jameis Winston and neighbors?
Yeah, I love the Winston neighbors stack. If that was a real
that would be way different but the whole point that you're making, which I totally buy in, is that you have to have the value and let it be organic. You can't push for it and let it be at the forefront of your drafting strategy,
Yeah,
right? Because if you are obsessed with stacking and you have Mahomes, who do you want to stack him with? Are you stacking him with Worthy? Are you stacking with Rice? Are you going to get Kelsey and overpay for a tight end? If you get Allen, his real deal IRL in real life go-to guy in real football is Khalil Shakir.
I
But
know.
it's sexier to pair him up with a Keon Coleman. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
Shakir averages what, 10 yards a catch. Coleman could be a jump ball. If that's always fun. 50-yard bomb,
These
bonus,
are the
bonus.
reals. And like, why do you, but if you have Josh Allen and you know that somebody might pair combo with Lamar and Flowers, and then you might see somebody like it is such a thing for everyone to take these top quarterbacks and to go get their running mate or their top receiving mate and to try to combo them. It really is. What a good topic to talk about. What do you think about other deserving candidates to be stacked? So we talk like Lamb, Dak to Lamb, right? That's a
I
crazy
love
one.
Dak this year. I love Dak so much that I could see
I think I'll tell you this in our big league, and continue what you're going to say.
no,
In
I think
the
that Dak
league that we're
goes
going
in the
to
sixth.
draft with our 12-man live sticker league, I think in a live draft, Dak is going to go in round 10 instead of anything later than that, because I think there are 4 to 5 people in our league alone that are all over Dak. You know what I
I'm
mean?
gonna go higher than that. I think sixth, seventh, eighth, he ends up going. I think that Dak could be easily be a top 5 quarterback fantasy wise. And there's gonna be people that want to just fill their roster. And I think Dak goes like 7th or 8th round.
That's so crazy to think about that because it's a move that will prove correct at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But drafting right now, the value is just that's why he's so great,
They're
is
also
because you're
saying
trying to take him so late.
that Dallas's offensive line isn't amazing. I also heard from a little Tweety bird that's been at Dallas Cowboy training camp that Jaden Blue is not even getting first, second, or like third team reps.
See,
Like,
I just saw this crazy Jaden Blue catch out of the backfield that Dak hit him with, and people are raving
oh, really? Yeah,
on
I
some
guess
of the Dallas
overall, yeah,
Cowboys pages. Jaden Blue unheralded. He's going to
I
end up with
saw
the
that
job.
play, but they said right now, anyways, he's like buried in the depth chart.
Yeah, I
We'll
mean
see.
it's Javante's backfield right now. One other guy before we end the stat convo. What about Jefferson? The guy's proven to be quarterback proof. He gets JJ McCarthy, right?
Yeah,
And then you get a Vikings offense that is very pass friendly. They
yep.
still got Addison and Naylor. They still got Jones. They have Hawkinson, right? So there is a lot of mouths to feed. Do you think that this is also a reason that you've seen Jefferson maybe kind of take a slot or two down? But do you think that he's somebody that could keep up a stackable potential? Because he is going super low. And if you end up with JJ up top, say you get the 9th pick, you get Justin Jefferson, and then you're like, oh, I mean, that's crazy. I'll take him. And then you end up down at the end of your draft. You haven't had a quarterback, and there he is. Do you combo him, or would you rather take somebody else?
I mean, as a if I'm drafting in the middle to late first round, I am terrified to go Justin Jefferson. The McCarthy might be one of the biggest unknowns we have seen in a while because Minnesota is Super Bowl ready, right? I mean, would they go 14-3 last year or 13-4?
And 2 of those losses were the Packers or
And
something like that.
they did that with Sam Darnold, right? Which Darnold was a darling at USC, and a lot of people were saying the Giants should have went Sam Darnold instead of Saquon Barkley that year, right? And then Sam Darnold fell victim to the Jets, right? Could have been a whole different career trajectory. Then he goes to the Niners, and Shanahan heavily vouches for him. Minnesota, and Darnold had a couple bad games late, and they said they're done with Darnold. McCarthy, and it still sticks in my head that McCarthy
That one throw, I know. This is why
preseason.
everybody's on it. This is
Yep.
where we. All right, go ahead.
It was
Take it
one
out.
throw in the preseason that we've seen. I mean, we saw a guy that Harbaugh really didn't trust to take the gloves off, right, and let McCarthy just go to war for him. So Harbaugh kind of hit him a little bit. Then everyone was saying, oh, McCarthy might be a third, fourth round pick. And then as the draft came up, he's going first round. That Minnesota offense is built to win. And it's scary for me to think that it's all up to a guy that hasn't taken one snap in the NFL. And at a Division I level, we saw very little.
These are all good points. And I haven't had any shares of Jefferson, but I would take Puka over Jefferson. I would take Genti over Jefferson. I would take Lamb over Jefferson. Obviously, Bijan, Gibbs, C-Mac, Chase. So that puts Jefferson at like your 8-9 slot. And then even then, you're still making a case. Like, who would you rather have, Neighbors or Jefferson?
And that, to me, is a very hard question. No secret, I'm a Giant fan, but I don't know if Wilson is going to get Neighbors the ball. Now, Daniel Jones did it, which I'm not even putting Daniel Jones down, but most
everybody just keeps saying it's an obvious upgrade. It's an obvious upgrade. I'm like, is it an obvious upgrade? At least Daniel Jones could get him the ball. Can Russ get him the ball?
I don't know. Can Russell Wilson get it over the line of right? His balls constantly get batted down. And Neighbors caught a lot of balls on Daniel Jones's first read. You know what I'm trying to say? So it was like Daniel Jones looking here and then bop, quick slant, Neighbors catches it, goes for 12 more, 18-yard gain. Russell Wilson.
If you're staring down the barrel, man, and you're pick 9 or 10 in the first round pick of a draft, we'll even say it's a PPR league because non-PPR is out of style, whatever, it's gone. I think that you're looking at Neighbors over Jefferson.
Yeah, and I'm shocked back to Dayball that he's already announced Russell Wilson as starter. And
didn't you have a little Jackson Dart news? What happened to him in training?
Yeah, he threw a pick six on his first play. And I didn't like a lot of things he did on that play, but who cares, right? The guy's hopefully going to be a star. Now, I know why Jackson Dart isn't in the quarterback conversation, because the Giants' schedule is so brutal early. You could destroy a rookie quarterback, even though, Peyton Manning, a lot of quarterbacks came in and got demolished their first year. John Elway, Peyton Manning. We can go on and on about quarterbacks.
Yeah, Troy Aikman.
Troy Aikman looking horrible their first year. And then, they figure it out. They took their lumps. But now I just thought that it'd be a Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston little quarterback battle and let them go, where Dayball's already just said.
He's already crowning Russell Wilson to be your quarterback of the New York Football Giants. That's a very scary thing. But do you think that the scheme stays the same with Russ, where you're going to see Neighbors at a 30% target share? Because that's the only reason why you have Neighbors as a first-round pick in between that 10 to 12 spot. And if it's not Neighbors, then you're looking at a Nico Collins, you're looking at a BTJ, Brian Thomas Jr., right? And you're looking at these other guys that are going to be, more consistent, because Trevor Lawrence is definitely going to get the ball to him.
Yeah, he'll get the
ball. There's
no
doubt about that. So if you're like, now you're starting to weigh even Jefferson against Brian Thomas Jr., Jefferson against Neighbors, Jefferson against Nico Collins, because Collins is getting the ball. So this is a very real question, man, like that we need to talk about. It's not easy in that back end of the first round.
It's the big unknown. Let me ask you this. I heard an interesting conversation on Fox Sports, and there was a couple different takes. Who, to the Bears right now, who's more replaceable, Caleb Williams or Ben Johnson?
Man, you have to go with the player. You know what I mean? Like, I think you go with the player.
You're siding with the player. So you're saying that if Caleb Williams doesn't work in the next 2 years, that they get rid of Ben Johnson, or, maybe 2 to 3, or not get rid of, but like.
I think that, and it's such a tricky situation. You have to see what he's given you. And Caleb hasn't given you anything other than showing you that he's a top pedigree guy, that he's somebody who's on a bad team who looks good. He's got the right attitude. He wanted to go to the Bears. Like, I mean, there's a lot of things that are in his favor that make you like him in his leadership role. There's no red flags there. And you see the physical attributes coming through. And now we need to see the progression, right? And that's what's going to make you lean on the player side. because he's the guy who's physically capable, or that we think is going to be physically capable of doing these feats that are going to make him a special player, that have these intangibles that win games.
I
Like you said,
disagree. I disagree
when it's
about
two
the red
minutes
flag.
left and it's Caleb Williams with the ball, show me what you got, kid. You know what I mean? And like, can you go down there and make the right passes, make the right reads, make the right little runs to get your team down in a crucial situation? Obviously, the coaching matters. In getting your guys in the right position, and of course the basics and discipline and whatnot with your squad. But I feel that when you draft somebody as a generational player, you should also give him that as long as you can. Treat him like the generational player, and hopefully he's going to change your franchise as you had envisioned.
I disagree with the no red flags. He paints his nails. He couldn't win at USC. He wanted ownership for the Bears. He wanted to be an owner, right? He was demanding ownership. He almost didn't go to the Bears because of his dad stepping in.
I don't
Also,
think the nails thing.
he doesn't get nervous
There's
before
a
games.
lot of Gen Z things that boggle my mind, and we could go tit for tat on this. There's the whole Gen Z stare recognition thing, whatever. Painting your nails, bro, whatever you want. We live in Orlando. There's a lot of people that paint their nails here in Orlando, guy or girl. Okay.
Yeah, but if you're
The
a
red,
leader of men, if you're a leader of men on a football field, I think that you should have a little more awareness to not like, you know what I mean?
bro, you got Kyler Murray over here on Double XP weekend, like playing video. Like, I'm not saying
Exactly.
that's any
That's another
less or
guy.
more.
That's another
I
guy that
just think
hasn't
these are
won.
different times for different kids that are these leader of men. You never heard about any of these other quarterbacks that are multiple Super Bowl ring winners being up late night, other than being in the books playing video games and shit. You know
No,
what I'm
I know,
saying?
but Kyler Murray is another guy. That's huge red flags for me.
Sure.
Caleb Williams says he doesn't get nervous before games. That's a huge red flag for me. Why aren't you getting nervous?
I can see that.
I think
I love the
Caleb Williams
confidence. I love
has
the
a
fact
lot
that he
of
came out and squashed that his dad didn't want him to go there and that he wanted to go to the Bears. I like what he did. And USC is another, it's about the exposure, right? He went to USC obviously because it's a good program. Nobody was nobody was saying that he was about to go get a ship over in USC, but he got the exposure and he got the Heisman exposure, and that did a lot for him. And he did get to show off in a good, in a good league, to be able to say, "Hey, this is me. I deserve to be one of the top rated picks." And he didn't do anything, I think, to take that away in the NFL. Uh, I thought he was a good protege, a good pedigree. I thought he was good to a point in the Bears system to where there's enough for belief. And it's so hard for me to say because I'm never gonna draft him. And like I've been in that bubble in a lot of fantasy things where everybody's on him, and it's hard for me to talk about him or Ben Johnson. But I side on the player because he's the one that has all the opportunity to grow and to change. That's
Yeah,
all.
I mean, I'm not
And that's
saying,
what I mean. And I
yeah,
think
that's
what
a
you're
different
saying
game.
is right. And I feel sure, I guess you're right. There's some more red flags than maybe I was realizing in the beginning, but I don't think any of that is detrimental to him or the franchise, that he couldn't be somebody to lead him to a playoffs, to get a win. And in the NFC, if he really is going to be that special, you can make a run. You know what I mean? The Bears are always sneaky.
Yeah, and like, yeah, I think Kyler Murray, unfortunately, might be a good comparison to him. I just don't know if it's that being a quarterback is like a lot of things. Like, for example, the Lions with Jared Goff, it's a journey to get there, but now you have his players and the fan base chanting Jared Goff. Like, there is a like Tom Brady, people wanted to die for Tom Brady. And I just don't think Caleb Williams has, like Jaden Daniels, we've already seen that type of leadership where it's that type of calm, cool, collect, and comeback wins. Like we've already seen it. And I just think that back to the question, Caleb Williams might be a good quarterback down the road. But Ben Johnson, I feel like is the guy that is gonna be there for the next 10 years. I don't know if Caleb Williams is going to be there for the next
You
10
think
years.
Ben Johnson's going to be there 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Ben Johnson, he had like just so many
10 years is a
clever.
long run for a 10-year, right? That's a
Yeah, I
long
mean,
run nowadays.
But
There's
like,
only a few franchises that even have a coach that goes that long
but
period
I
that
think
will
like
even
the
current.
Vikings head coach, I'm mistaken his name. He's going to be there for a
Stefanski,
while. Yep. And no, not Stefanski.
or he's a O'Connell. He's Kevin. Is that
O'Connell.
Kevin?
Yep. I mean, Andy Reid was that guy, right, for the Eagles and the Chiefs. I just think Ben Johnson, the way he carries himself and his play calling in Detroit, it's just very clever, innovative, and just the way Goff and a lot of people talk about the way his leadership is and his play calling. I just think he's going to be a guy there for the future. Also, another thing about Kyler Murray, he's never thrown over 26
26.
touchdowns. That's like, think about that. You can't average 1.5 touchdowns.
But how many ground yards did he have the year that he threw 26?
It's kind of crazy those last 3 years. The amount of throwing attempts he has is the amount of rushing yards he has. They're within
That
like
is kind of
20,
crazy.
30 yards. So like one year he threw 540 passes. He ran for like 550 or something. So yeah, I mean, he gets those rushing yards. There was one year he had one good rushing season where he rushed for like 800 yards.
Right, and that's what people say that he's supposed to do this year, and a lot of people are back on the bandwagon, and it's crazy. So,
He's
who would
never
you
had a
take?
good year, though. He's never had a great year. He went to the playoffs once and got absolutely embarrassed, and they said he wasn't prepared for the game. Like,
Do you trust McBride, and do you trust Marvin Harrison, or do you trust the James Conner over both of them, and you would rather invest into their offense through the running game more than you would through the air?
say that again.
Would you invest into McBride or Harrison, or would you invest into Connors? Because you have the air game being connected to Kyler Murray or the ground game being connected to Connors. What do you like more, and who would you invest in on that
Yeah,
offense? Because you have the likes of Marvin Harrison. He's going like wide receiver 40. So he's in that bubble. Are you taking Mike Evans or Marvin Harrison Jr.? Are you taking JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, or are you taking Marvin Harrison Jr.? Are
So
you
hold on, that's
taking
not wide receiver 40. You're saying 40th pick, right?
right? That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. And the 1 through 200, he's like literally ranked 40 out of the
yeah,
top 200, right?
yeah.
And I think that's really high. Don't get me wrong, you're the pedigree. Your daddy was great. He's a Hall of Famer. And we
Yeah.
saw some breakout potential when you have the two touchdown, 100 yards, whatever it was, first quarter or first half. But is that enough to sit there and to make him your like first wide receiver in the third round, or your second wide receiver in the third round? Are you believing in Kyler Murray, and like, is he supposed to have such a touchdown progression that Kyler Murray goes over 35 touchdowns? Like, I don't know, man. I told you how I feel about the curse of the Maroons, and a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
just
people
don't
are.
see Kyler Murray hasn't done it yet. I don't see him doing it. Like, it's not like he's had what 5 years to do it, and he still hasn't done. Maybe more now. Is this his 6th year? I don't know. He still hasn't done it. Marvin Harrison might be great, but I don't see. I'm staying away from McBride for sure. And
Well,
Harris,
would you take Mike Evans over Marvin Harrison?
100%.
Would you take Xavier Worthy over Marvin Harrison?
I would not take. I would take Marvin Harrison over Xavier.
Over Xavier Worthy?
Yeah.
Because he's about 20, maybe 18, 15 picks later after Harrison, right? Whenever you start looking at those.
Harrison
Who else?
almost got to 1,000 yards, right?
Who
He
else
was
is
at
in that bubble?
885, 8 touchdowns. It's a little misleading too, right? Because he had that one game where he had 200.
I think Worthy, I'll put it on paper right now. I think I'll say it. I think Worthy has more receiving yards. Maybe Harrison has more touchdowns. I can see that. I say Worthy has more receiving yards than Harrison this
I
year.
would make the play that you might be right about fantasy points. Yardage will be tricky because the Chiefs are probably going to be playing from ahead a lot. And that's a whole, also they're in cold.
I mean, they didn't play ahead a
a
lot last year. They were in a lot of one possession games.
Yeah,
right?
but and that's what I mean. Arizona is getting blown out by 3 touchdowns a lot of times.
Sure. So you're going to see a lot more garbage time, is what you mean.
Yeah, Harris had 885 yards and 8 touchdowns, but he had that one game where he had 200 yards and like 2 touchdowns, right, in the first half. So, like, take that game away. Yeah, I'm just staying away from Kyler Murray. Now, to answer your question, I would love to have James Conner as my number 3 running back, right? Or as a flex, right?
Yeah, he's going more in the flex territory.
Yeah,
like for sure.
He had a good year. He takes care of himself. He's a great guy. Battled back from cancer. And the problem is if you had James Conner, you're probably already out. I don't think he was in a lot of Super Bowl lineups because of the way he got drafted and how he kind of was a little stagnant early on. But I like James Conner.
All right. Is there any other fantasy things you wanted to wrap it up about? Of course, I was just going to go over divisions and just take some stabs at division winners and who we like on AFC, NFC sides. Any other fantasy notes or players that you want to
No,
talk
I
about?
think that was good. We're gonna really start vamping it up, and we might do a mock draft, maybe right like the night before, and then we'll really discuss exactly how we broke it down so we can I know we had this not our big league, but me and you are teaming up in this league. We'll give the details in a little bit.
Yep.
But I'm excited to kind of have me and you bang heads and try to agree on the same guy and kind of see where we stand. But yeah, let's talk about league winners. I know we got to wrap it up today. Our executive producer has some big things going on, so we got about 8 to 10 minutes left, and we'll be quick. But let's start with AFC East.
All right, AFC East.
Let's do first and second for each.
First and second. All right, so I think that one screams Bills Patriots. I think whenever you're looking at the AFC, I think the Bills have been knocking on the doorstep of greatness for the last few years, and it all starts with winning that division. I think maybe they have a little bit more with the Patriots this year, but there's no reason that they should not outclass that division. I think it does get a little bit closer, though, between the Patriots and Dolphins. I still like the Patriots over the Dolphins, and I feel that, again, you've already said it before, and you're on record, and I'll say it again, Dolphins, when it comes late year, they just don't play great in cold weather. And I think that's going to have an impact on them. And I think the Patriots are going to embrace that. And I think they're going to have a great running game with Henderson. And you're going to see a little bit of Vrabel May magic, probably more late than early, I would say. I could see them kind of sneaking in. What do you think?
Yeah.
Obviously, we're discounting
Bill.
the Jets. I'm not discounting the Jets fully. We both like the Jets on their over. They could definitely be sneaky. We'll see how they end up producing if they can make any noise in their division.
I'm Bills Dolphins. I think Tua has a big year. He had a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio last year. He threw for almost 3,000 yards. He only played in, I think he started in 10, but I think he started 11, but he only played in 10, I think, because in one game he got hurt pretty early, I thought. But if you quantify his stats to a full season, Tua is over 4,000 yards, over 30 touchdowns. I think that the Dolphins bounce back. I think with Darren Waller, Westbrook Akini, Devon Achane, Tyreek Hill, Waddle, the Dolphins they were the darlings going into last year. Everyone thought they would just come back, and they lost to the Super Bowl champs the year before. And now people are doubting them. And I heard they look great in training camp. I could see it going Bills Dolphins. Let's go to the next division.
All right, let's go AFC West. AFC West. What do you got? You go first on this one.
Yeah, I'm always just gonna default to the Chiefs one. I'm not even
Chiefs.
I'm not gonna go against the grain there. Not like we're putting up any money on this, but I just think, how dare we disrespect the Chiefs if we don't put them at 1?
They were in a rebuild and they still made it to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah. The second one, obviously, it's not between the Raiders. I'm going to discount them right away, but It's between the Broncos and the Chargers. I think the Broncos kind of take this step forward, and I could see Bo Nix, how many snaps he's seen, for how much I love Herbert. I just don't know if the Chargers have the weapons yet. You know what I mean? And I think with just the addition of RJ Harvey, Bo Nix with Peyton, Evan Ingram is a Bronco now.
Here's a fun question between the two. Who has a better year? RJ Harvey, rookie running back for the Broncos, or Amari Hampton, rookie running back for the Chargers?
I'm going to go RJ Harvey because I think that his path to being a lead running back, I know he's like a backup right now, but it will be a little easier, where Najee Harris is going to take some.
Najee is always healthy too.
Yeah.
So you like Chiefs, Broncos. I'm going to go Chiefs, Chargers. I think this is definitely the year that Herbert lives up to the hype and potential. I think that Omari and Hampton is going to be a force to be reckoned with, along with Ashton Genty. They're going to be fighting for Rookie of the Year. Those two. Hampton just seems like a big guy, and with the way they like to run the ball, and with McConkey there, I think there's going to be a lot of cool things that they're going to be able to do on offense. I think Herbert's going to look great, and we're going to see. Who is it? It's like Quentin Johnston, right? It's McConkey. Like they got a few dudes that are
Yeah,
over there, and they're sneaky in the wide receiving core.
they
The
are. They are.
Broncos and Chargers, I think, are going to be playing the last couple weeks for that spot. You know what I mean? You could see them playing for the playoffs and all the implications and how great for TV that would be to see Bo Nix versus Herbert for a playoff spot come late in the
No,
year.
yeah, I'm hoping that's like a Sunday night game or a Monday night game, but
That'd
that'll
be
be fun
sick.
to
We
watch.
could flash forward to it right now and just see it already, right?
Yeah,
All
we'll
right, so
definitely.
let's go ahead and go AFC North. The toughest, what I think is the toughest division of football. Do
Yeah.
you agree with that?
I mean, yeah, like the Browns, they're going to be horrible. Their quarterback room is a disaster.
Right, but the
Yeah,
other three are just so good, right?
other three are real good. I yeah, I'm picking the Steelers to win that division.
You're picking Steelers.
That's like the one. Like I'm not trying to take a hot take, but that's my one where I just think top to bottom they built that secondary for a pass rush. They got a great pass rush, super physical secondary, and Rodgers is now 2 years removed from the injury, and now this is truly the first time in his career where everyone is expecting him to fail. Everyone. Everyone thinks that Rodgers is going to fail this year, except for the Steelers front office, and the Steelers. Actually, I won't even say the Steelers fan base, because Steelers fans I talk to think he's going to fail also. And I think that Omar Khan has built that team, and they're taking their shot. Yeah, every Steeler fan I talk to, oh God, Roger. I'm like, guys.
All right, so I'm glad we definitely see different views on this one. I got Ravens and then Bengals. I think Bengals are going to be better off out the gate this year. So I don't think they're going to be just barely on the bubble like they missed last year to the Broncos. And I think the Ravens just continue to handle business. I think last year I was on the Ravens bandwagon to get into the Super Bowl, kind of on that tip a little bit. And I know as we get closer and start making picks, we'll talk about it. They're just so good on so many with so many players that they have on offense, man. And I think the fact that they got Mark Andrews and Likely, and they got Flowers, and they get Henry just coming down at you, and Lamar is just unstoppable. He's going to run another 1,000 yards again this year.
Ravens are
Like
scary. I mean,
it's
it's
just
going to be a
unbelievable. I don't see them losing that division, and the reason why I like them in that division is because they also play up in their division. The thing about the North is you have to love playing in the North to win the North, right?
yeah.
And I feel like the Steelers and the Ravens both love it more than everybody else. And I think that's why they have such success, right? And I do think that the Bengals just play the Steelers a little bit better. So I like the Bengals over the Steelers, but I think the Ravens take it down. That's my
No,
pick.
yeah, you go Ravens, Bengals. I go Steelers, Ravens, Bengals. Unfortunately, until they fix that defense, and they don't want. I
Sure.
don't until they pay their Trey Hendricks. It's going to
Trey
be
Hendricks, yeah. All
AFC.
right, and then we'll talk about the AFC South. This is kind of tricky one. What do you? I'll go first on this one.
Yeah, you go.
You get I think my pick last year was Houston. I think it's gonna go. I'm gonna go Jags. I'm gonna say Jags this year. I think Jags take it. I think it's the resurgence of Trevor Lawrence. I think that their offense is gonna be good. Their defense will be sneaky. They got so many running backs. I've heard a lot of talk about Etienne being a nice little value this year, just because he had such a fall off last year, and then Bigsby isn't anything that's super efficient. You have is it's not Judkins is to the Browns. They got the other rookie running back. Oh, Byshel Tutton. That's his
Yeah.
name, Byshel Tutton. And Tutton, I think that okay, yeah, you got these other guys. I think Etienne's still going to be there. I mean, he's still in the mix.
And also, this ball coach has shown he's not scared to use a three-headed monster, right? He did it with the
Right.
Bucks.
And so I love their running game this year. I don't now fantasy wise, I could give a rip less about, right? But when you're talking about like in real life, I think they're going to be awesome. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is that dude, you know?
Yeah. And
Obviously
then
they
what
lost Evan
about?
Ingram.
And
That's
then you
another
got
little
Brian
caveat.
Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter who could take the top off of defense. So they're going to respect.
People are saying that he's supposed to be like around 800, 900 yards, 8 touchdowns. Some people are saying he's kind of a league winner. He could even go bigger than that. I'm
Who's
so
that?
skeptical on what
Who,
he's going to be
Travis
doing
Hunter, you
because
think?
you've heard other players on record talking about everyone's just going to run deep routes at him whenever he's on defense. I heard somebody say that he's a bold pick for an MVP candidate because he's going to be one of the top Pro Bowl CBs and could very well be, like 1,000-yard receiver and whatnot. I'm like, there's a lot of, conjecture about Travis Hunter in them. Either way, I think it leads them to the division. Second behind them, I think it's the Texans. I think the Texans
Yeah.
coming short. I could see them fighting for it down at the end of the year. I love Stroud definitely taking a step forward, Collins, but I like it being Jaguars, Texans.
Yeah, I'm gonna go that too. Jags, Texans. Let's jump. Let's actually we'll cut it off from here, right? We'll jump into the NFC.
Yeah, we can cut it. I know Gene's trying to dip.
Yeah. So but guys, thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe.
We'll start
And
off with the NFC picks next episode.
yeah,
We'll just jump right into it from there. Everything else is taken back burner. Fantasy rules. By the time we do it, it'll only be 31 days till football next show.
we'll start vamping it back up, and we might try to do some 2-a-days here soon too. So, or two a week, not 2-a-days, two a week. That was training camp talk for you guys.
You got any thoughts for the week?
Fantasy baseball coming around the corner here.
Fantasy baseball coming around the corner. Me being a Cowboys fan, we need to pay Micah Parsons. Obviously, you saw Terry McLaurin just ended his holdout over there across the way, so I know that's big for them. He's on the PUP list, but we need to pay Micah. It's even in our training camp. They're screaming pay Micah. It's not as loud as they were screaming pay CD, but we need to pay Micah. Our other guy is Ziriaku, I think is how you say his name. He's just lighting it on fire. We got a nasty little line down there. It's going to make some noise.
Oh yeah,
Cowboys going to shock the world.
Yeah, I got one last thing I want to say too. I wake up from a text from my buddy DCAS, and all it says was his son is like, his son just turned 1, and he goes, "I want my son to play baseball." And DCAS never played baseball in his life. Just started watching baseball a few years ago, and I don't even look at it. And then the next line is, if Seth Lugo can get almost 50 million on 2 years, if Seth Lugo get 25 million a year, then I'm going to have my son go play baseball. And I was like, well played.
Touche. Yeah. Seth Lugo, good for you, bud. You got a bag. Can't even believe it. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe. Make sure you tell everybody about us, man. We appreciate you. Prop Stars out.
All right, guys.